People think you work really hard and then have a business, or you have to have failed at your business and then go back to the job. They don't. You have to see what works for you. So what I did was I started my business. I continued working on my business after hours and did a job, and now I'm at a successful point, you can call that. So now it's self-sustainable. So you have to see what works for you as a individual.
Are you someone struggling with career switching questions? Maybe it's too soon, maybe it's too late, maybe it's too different from what you are doing right now. Hello everyone, Namaste. You're watching yet another episode of The Midwife. I am Ashna Juneja, and I bring to you one person each week who's at the middle of his or her own journey towards that one big dream. Today I have with me Tanvi Sethi. She's the CEO of a very bold and an extremely powerful feminine brand by the name of Torkodon. She's had backgrounds in architecture, engineering, and economics, and well, here she is right now, spearheading a beautiful brand like hers. Let's talk to her how her journey has been so far, and with her diverse background, how she managed to come up with a brand like hers. Hi, Tanvi. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now I can.
So I know a little bit about your background, but I would really want you to talk more about it, because I know that you didn't really have that traditional approach of starting off as a fashion designer.
So basically, it all started in 11th grade, like I told you, when I had science with maths, and I really liked this topic and physics, and I came across this word called torque, which I really like. I really like the meaning of it. It means force in rotational motion, basically a turning force, power. Like in general, when boys talk about how much torque does the car give, it's like force car. So I really like the whole meaning around it. So I thought I want to do something of my own. I just don't know what right now, but I will use the word talk. I tried many different things, and it's so important, like for entrepreneurs who are watching this, it's so important to take risks in your teens and early 20s, try out different things, and just chalk them off the list that this is not something that I want to do for the rest of my life. So yeah, I did engineering classes, dropped off, did architecture for wherever I did go, I went to the best college, but I just didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. Even then, as a backup, I had applied to economics honors in Kamala Nehru College, DU. Found about this course which goes really well with economics, which is called actuarial science. So I cleared 3 papers of that as well, along with economics honors, and I was all set to go for quantitative finance masters in New York at Fordham University.
But diverse.
Yeah, it's too diverse, and but then going to a different country, investing so much in a new course, the living expenses there, everything. So I just had a chat with myself that is this what I really want to do? Like, I do like analytics and maths and everything, but I don't know if this is, I want to be buried into Excel sheets all the time and be not enjoy where I am and do the stuff which I really like doing. So I think I talked to my parents. I wrote this entire email to my father. I still remember that.
Okay.
And he was right there in the next room, but I remember writing this entire email because I was too scared to face him. I just told him that I'm deferring my what do you call it, admission to Fordham till the next year, because I really want to take this year to decide and to get to know myself, to actually set a path for the future. So he was like, do whatever makes you happy. You don't need to write an entire email for that. I'm just having tea, please. So yeah, I thought I do have a creative bent because both my parents are interior designers. So I really wanted to, obviously architecture didn't work out for me because for whatever reasons. So I did like fashion. I was not too much into it till that point, but I could imagine dresses and saris and pieces. Like I told you, I used to design all my Conti party dresses and farewell saris, even for my sister, for myself. So I thought maybe I can do something else, because like I can imagine things even
Yeah.
if they're not right in front of me. So yeah, then I thought that probably something in fashion I would do. How did Talkadon came into being? I was applying for an internship and I was really dreading it. It was the first time ever, and I had an interview, and nothing looked good on me when I was, trying out clothes. And there was this blazer, I think the first one I bought ever. Just put that on, and suddenly I was like, I mean, I don't know what was it. It was the silhouette or the structured, look that it gave me, that power shoulders, and suddenly I felt a surge of confidence in me, like
Yeah.
I could be the best version of myself, and I did. Like I cracked that interview. It went so well,
Okay.
and I totally think, obviously, it merit also counts, of course, but because of that suit, that coat, that blazer that I was wearing, I just felt so confident, and I was,
Pumped up.
yeah, it pumped me up really. So yeah, I thought like I really liked that silhouette. Like till this date, I do like various versions of blazers, and I like experimenting with it.
Thanks to that interview, it was such a catalyst for
Yeah,
Torquedon, if I'm enunciating it well.
torque adorn. It's like two words.
Torquedon.
Torque means power, like I told you, and adorn means to wear, to dress.
Yeah. So, this industry is so volatile. It's dynamic. It's changing all the time. Today you have a new fashion. Tomorrow you'll have another fashion. So, how do you keep up with the inspiration? Where do you seek that inspiration from?
So I'll tell you something about my business. You have to see what works for you and your label. What works for my label is that I do a full-fledged summer collection and then a few uh, capsule collections. So
Okay.
I know it's obviously it's dynamic and it's ever changing, but you have to see what works for you as a label, as an entrepreneur, and then work around that. As for my inspiration, it's everywhere. Like I told you, my parents were interior designers, so I'm heavily inspired by architecture and interiors. So like sharp, angular blazers being my hero silhouette, with sharp cuts and power shoulders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm really inspired by geometry and architecture, and you'll find influences like in some of my, even in that dress that you can see, like I have fall leather rexine strips
Okay.
all around. Yeah. So
Interesting. Because now that you're saying it, and I was going through your collection, right? Everything is so bold and very classic and very sturdy. Gives a very powerful vibe
yeah,
when
you
you look at
obviously
this.
have to, also you have to do your research, market research, and see where there is a gap. Like there were really cool designer labels and there were really cool power dressing labels, but my label is kind of like a somewhere in between. It's like it merges both the
Yeah.
kind of labels, because
Uh,
if like Van Heusen, if you see, they have really good quality suits, power dressing suits for office wear, but they're not fun. They
yeah,
are
they're not fashionable.
yeah, and they are in blacks and grays and very neutral colors. But having those, like just increasing the length of the blazer, making it double breasted, and adding a funky color to it, it just changes the whole look. It makes
True.
it workwear suitable, as well as evening wear suitable.
Yeah.
So that was the whole idea behind
Interesting.
it.
Having said that, the competitive influences are so strapping in this industry. I don't know if this is true for you or not, but as far as what I've heard from other designers, it sometimes take a toll on yourself mentally, emotionally, both in a personal way and in a professional way. So how do you stay on that even keel pace?
um, I think you have to be really at peace with yourself internally. Of course, you need to look at what your competition is doing, but you have to set your parameters for what makes you happy as a person, professionally as well as personally. So I know, like I've set some personal goals. Like I do get bogged down by seeing like competitive brands who started probably at the same time as I did, they have a more Instagram following than me. But then I also, go back and see maybe I didn't put in that much effort in my social media. This is just an example, because everyone comes from a different place, different things, to achieve different things at different points in time. I wanted to make it a profitable business first, and then concentrate on uh, creating that social media reach. Like I said, I have some goals for myself professionally and personally. I want, like, in the first year, I was like in a very dark place because I had no orders, nothing, and I was like thinking of shutting it down, but I still
Tell me
kept
more
going.
about it. Tell me more about that dark place.
So my father told me that you need to work and get a lot of experience before you even think of starting something of your own. Okay, but it was in 2017. After graduating from NIFT, I got back into Shantanu and Nikhil, where I did my internship before joining NIFT. And after 6 months, I was like, I could do something much better. Although I enjoyed and I learned a lot, and they are great bosses and stuff. But still, it was like after 6 months, I felt like I was doing the same job again and again. And like I told you on our conversation earlier, that I hate routine. I like each day to be different, and problem solving and tackling things and finding a solution to everything. So so I thought, and I really convinced my parents that even though I have just 6 months of experience, I really want to start something of my own, and just give me like so and so seed capital for it. I swear I won't ask for more, and I'll make it work in this. And I was wrong. So in the first year, it was a dark place professionally, because I barely had any orders. Obviously, in terms of my collections, also I started with something which was very high priced. It was a bridge to luxury kind of a thing. It was not couture and it was not premium. My first collection shot very well, everything, but not suitable for selling online, because obviously in India especially, people are not very comfortable spending that kind of money online without seeing the fit and the fall and the fabric and the embroidery on the piece. But something was not right. I thought maybe I had less Indian pieces. Maybe Indian pieces would have a better, response from the market. So then I put some Indo-Western pieces with better orders than the last collection. But still there was something which was missing. And obviously till that point I was also scared about putting in more money, because it was like a money sucking machine, this business. And I was, till what point could I have put in all my savings, my seed capital, everything? The one thing I maintained, because I had no orders and hence no work, was social media, which I maintained very nicely in terms of my photo shoots and posting every day and stuff. So that went well. Second year, I thought this is not working, and maybe I need to, and I can't ask for more money from my parents. I need to put in on my own, and the only way I can do it is to have another job. So that's when I applied to Alaya by Stage 3 as a designer and a merchandiser. And people think you either work really hard and then have a business, or you have to have failed at your business and then go back to the job market. They don't. You have to see what works for you. So what I did was I worked. I started my business. I continued working on my business after all and did a job, and now I'm at a successful point, you can call that. So now it's self-sustainable. So you have to see what works for you as a individual.
You very slowly and gradually saw the progress, but that dark time of yours, how did you personally find the motivation to keep going?
So I just kept talking to people like, do I really keep going? Should I put in more money? Because it's not working. And they said first year is like that only. You just have to make it through the first year and see how the second year treats you, because obviously you will make changes. I made that change because obviously if I was not at that point, I would not have applied to that job, and I would not have made such contacts, which made me apply those things, which whatever I learned in that job, and make it a successful business. So just have to make it through that first year, keep going. I know maybe some people may not be there financially, but take up 2 jobs, one part-time job, one full-time job, work after hours, do whatever. Just take it through the first year, and obviously keep working on your business as well.
Yeah.
And even before that, you should believe in yourself.
Having said that, everything that you've gone through, crossing certain milestones, now that you've come this far, you think you wish you had known something earlier when you started off?
I think maybe the power of social media, because it's very, very powerful, and showing up every day for like an year and not expecting anything in return is what will actually take your brand forward, no matter what field you are in. So yeah, but other than that, uh, I think every stepping stone that I've come across has been very important in terms of the experience and the things I've learned from them. I took a break here after Kamla Nehru College and interned for 6 months at Shantanu and Nikhil before preparing for NIFT. I did that side by side. I missed NIFT Delhi by 1 rank, went to NIFT Mumbai and topped at NIFT as well, did 2 internships there. Yeah, like that each and every point has been so important that, that is what made me who I am today. Each and every experience.
Imagine your younger self, and there are many people like that want to move into this field, but they're so afraid of the things that will pull them down before they even begin. So is there some advice that you personally think you would have liked to know at that time, that advice
It's
to
not
someone else?
just about younger people. I still have friends who don't want to do what they're currently doing, and I'm always like, you can still do it. It's never too late, because you just have one life. Why are you wasting it doing something that you don't like? I know it won't be easy, and you'll have to put in so much more work than you're doing right now, but it'll all be worth it, because ultimately you'll be doing what you love. So I think it's just about obviously chalking out a plan. I'm not saying just drop everything and take a risk. You have to take that leap, but take 2 months, take 3 months, take 6 months. Just come up with a plan, uh, a business plan, a strategy of a roadmap, that okay, by this time I should be able to financially be stable enough to quit my job, start saving, don't spend on stupid stuff like Netflix subscriptions, because that will be there even when you're 60 years old. That's not going anywhere. So but your energy is your drive to do things is, and life does get in the way, because this year's early 20s to I think 27, 28 is the time life does get in the way. So you should take that leap and start whatever it is that you really like to.
I think this is personally for me also, because I'm also in a corporate job, and there are so many things that I want to do. So like even Mid-Vibe, it's something that I've always wanted to dive into, but I just never got the courage.
This is a really great initiative, I think, because everybody either talks in the beginning or at the end of your success journey, but no one covers what it is like to reach that midpoint and come out of that dark phase of that first year of business, which is so bogging. So this is a really nice thing to come up
Really
with.
appreciate it. Thank you. So exactly. So when I was trying to start this, I was so doubtful, honestly, because it's not the self-doubt that comes with fear, but it's actually the doubts that you think people are going to have about you. That's the only big thing that
someone, even if you get the slightest vibe that someone is not supporting you in a good way, or adding to your growth, or encouraging you, I don't think we should you maintain your distance. Obviously you have to be a social whatever being, so you have to interact with them, or see them at social occasions or whatever, but don't discuss your personal business goals with them.
Know your boundaries.
Exactly. So just have those close 6, 7, 8 friends, your family, and you'll do great things, who actually support you and encourage you.
Perfect. I think that's about our conversation.
Great.
And
I had a great time.
thank you. And I really hope that all the people out there who are trying to start something out, specifically in the fashion industry or anything new, they're trying to switch their careers. I think this conversation should somewhere help them, pinpoint certain factors where they can make amends right now before it's too late. So
True.
thanks to you.
Welcome. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. I loved it. Loved having this conversation.